with that, we are going to leave ice cold Cleveland to join Matt Underwood in sunny Arizona.
Matt,
how you doing today?
Matty,
superstar. We couldn't be more jealous.
Are you kidding me? I mean, look at this. Look at this, huh? It's the calm before the storm. The boys are inside right now having a team meeting, but they'll be out here shortly to start their daily workout. And tomorrow we're playing games.
That's awesome.
Man, I can only imagine. I'm guessing it's because it's early in the morning there. You're a couple hours ahead of us. It's probably like in the high 50s, but we're going to get into the 70s, maybe the 80s, but looking at that sky.
Jay, I've been coming out here, what is this, 2025? It's, almost 16 years, I think, now. And this is the warmest it's ever been in February. I mean, it's going to be 80 degrees today. Wow, I think by Tuesday, when we televise, it's going to be almost 90 degrees. So it is absolutely ideal.
It was awesome.
Okay. Where did that picture come from?
Yeah,
oh,
look at that. That's a young Matt Underwood.
Matt, that looks like it's from the Channel 5 archives.
That's a throwback right there.
It was the only high-quality image that popped up on Google. The other ones were 200
that looks like when Matt was interning for Director Steve. So that was
back in the old days, man.
Yeah.
Matt, let's talk shop. It wasn't what you would call an overly active offseason. I mean, if you want to characterize it that way, guys leaving, the whole right side of that infield is going to be different. Give us your summation of the Guardians offseason. Did they make themselves better? Are they worse in some spots? What's your takeaway?
I think that when you look at what they did in the offseason, this is where you have to give Chris Antonetti, Mike Chernoff, the baseball ops guys, you have to give them the benefit of the doubt, because what they did was, painful trading Josh Naylor and Andres Gimenez. They're popular players, productive players, but what they did was they kind of rebuilt the depth in the pitching. And this is an organization, the bedrock for the last 10, 15 years has been pitching. So, with those two trades, you bring back 4 pitchers in return. Luis Ortiz right there. He goes right into the starting rotation. Slade Ciccone, former number 1 pick from Arizona. He'll be fighting for a spot this spring in the starting rotation, possibly could be a piece in the bullpen, and then a couple of depth pieces from the Pirates organization as well. So, I think this organization is always forward-thinking, looking down the line, and I think they realized after what happened last year, they needed to rebuild some of the depth in the pitching, rotation and the bullpen. So, again, painful. Now the question is Carlos Santana and maybe a full season of Lane Thomas, is that enough to offset the loss of Josh Naylor offensively? Because you're talking about a guy, 31 homers, 100 runs batted in last year. But Carlos is going to upgrade you defensively. He's coming off his first Gold Glove with the Twins last year. He looks like 39 years old. He looks like he's in his mid-20s. The guy is in phenomenal shape. He's going to want to be in that lineup every day. So, it remains to be seen. But I think with Carlos and a full season of Lane Thomas, based on what we saw last year, especially in the postseason, there's a productive hitter in Lane Thomas that with a full season, maybe those two guys could offset the loss offensively.
Unfortunately, Matt, though, you're also without the David Fry, who's going to miss half the season, and there are still some major concerns. If as good as Carlos Santana still is at 39, he's probably their third best hitter. That's scary when your third best hitter is 39 years old.
I think what you have to hope, and again, fingers crossed, right? Yeah. You have to hope that guys take a big step forward, like Kyle Manzardo. We saw him last year, struggled in his first go-around. When he came back in the postseason, especially, he had a couple of home runs. He looked like a more confident hitter. I think he's a guy that's going to slot into that DH role while David Fry is on the mend. I think you hope that he continues to progress offensively. Right field is going to be an interesting situation, right? Will Brennan and John Kenzie Noel, they're going to be the two guys that are going to get the real shot to start this season, I think. But and unfortunately this has become a rather large if Chase DeLauter stays healthy, guys, I'm telling you, he's built like Adonis. I'm watching him yesterday. He just looks different than every other player out there. He's 6'3", he's athletic, he can fly. And I'm watching him doing live BP against Luis Ortiz, and he took a swing. It didn't even look like he swung that hard, and the ball went halfway up the batter's eye in center field out here. So that's a guy to keep an eye on. If he stays healthy, he could be in the mix at some point this year too.
Matt, you mentioned Chase DeLauter, Travis Bazzana, along with Manzardo, who's already in the big leagues. Those are your 3 best, young players, 2 top prospects. Do you think if they kill it in spring training, Bazzana, DeLauter, can they make the club out of spring training?
I think it's a long shot for both of them. I think, especially for Bazzana, who just came out of the draft last year, I think he still needs some development time, and they're going to give him those opportunities. But this is limited opportunities. But from what I've seen, this is a guy that can hit. Defensively, he probably still has some work to do because obviously, if you're going to slot in at second base, those are huge shoes to fill defensively for this team, regardless of who wins that spot. But I think we'll get some opportunities to see Bazzana. I think DeLauter's in the same situation. I think because of all the time he's missed with, injuries, they're going to want to see him play at AAA, maybe get some at-bats under his belt. But at some point, if you don't get the kind of productivity you're looking for in right field, I think there's a very real chance that we see him at some point this year.
So, Matt, we were talking in our text chain last night as we were getting ready for today's show, and it's going to be a topic after we move on from your interview. I know you got to go at 45. The time range to come back from Tommy John is technically 12 to 18 months. Means is coming back from his second Tommy John. 12 months would put him to June. 15
Jay,
months.
I don't mean to cut you off, but John Means spoke to the media today. Steve, you take tag.
Oh, he did? Okay, great.
This is from Zach Means, Zach Meisel. I just want to read you what he said.
Okay, wonderful.
John Means says he's aiming for an August return.
Well, that was going to be my
Bieber
question.
Also targeting a midseason return.
Yeah.
The Guardians' rotation this summer could look vastly different from what we see in April. So just want to give you that
no,
update.
I'm glad you put that out there because in the text chain yesterday, I was saying, look, guys, I'm not sure that the Guardians or Means are sailing on him pitching at all in 2025. I think the fact that he's gone through this before, actually some people will say, well, it's harder the second time around. I've talked to guys that have had it twice, and a lot of guys I talk to say the lessons they learned from their first rehab helped them to come back in a shorter time frame the second time. I love the fact that he's targeting August. Realistically, though, Matt, and I'll throw this out to Bieber as well. What is a realistic, not optimistic, what is a realistic time frame for when we could see Bieber back on the hill and Means?
I think realistically, with Shane Bieber, given the historical data, you're talking All-Star break. But, I mean, I've already seen him throwing out here. He's throwing off the mound. This isn't just he's throwing off flat ground, progressing to 90 feet. He's pitching bullpens. I mean, again, I think he's going to be ahead of schedule. But having said that, he is going to listen to the doctors. I think one of the big reasons that he re-signed and came back here was because he's seen the success this organization has had with guys that come back from that surgery, mainly just last year. I think with Matthew Boyd, he watched that process and how that worked. And I think that's one of the reasons why Shane said, you know what, I'm in a really good spot here in Cleveland, and I'm going to go through the process. So he is going to lean on the medical guys, but he looks great. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to push them and maybe get there ahead of schedule. With Means, I think August, like what we saw last year with Boyd, he's a guy that maybe joins you for the stretch run and could be a valuable piece because that's when, guys might be leaking a little oil. He could come in and give you a boost. And we didn't even talk about Trevor Stephan. He's in a different situation because he's a bullpen guy. He doesn't have to build up all the innings and get ready. But I think you'll see Stephan probably by or if not before the All-Star break to be a guy that comes in and helps an already unbelievable bullpen.
Speaking of that bullpen, Matty, how concerned should we be with Clase and how he ended the season in the postseason, I should say? Because he was so dominant last year and has been so dominant. But you know how these things go with closers, man. It can be the best in the biz one year and then out of the biz the next. It kind of fluctuates. What are your thoughts on him going into the year?
Before I answer that, Dustin, I want to tell you how out of shape I am. I got to keep switching arms to hold up this phone.
Hey, it's spring training for you
Oh
too,
my
Matt.
gosh! That's
I got to get back in the gym. This is embarrassing. So, Dustin, I'm going to acquiesce to the manager on this one because Stephen Vogt talked about this yesterday, and he said in his mind, Clase made 3 bad pitches in the postseason last year. He said he hung 2 sliders, and he hit a pitch that only Aaron Judge could hit out for a home run. So in his mind, it's not that Clase ran out of gas or that he pitched poorly. He hung a couple of sliders and got beat by one of the best hitters in the game. So he is not worried about Clase at all. Clase is in camp and looks phenomenal. And I don't think his confidence was shaken one bit by what happened last October. And that's something that historically could rattle a guy going forward. I don't think we'll see that with Clase. And I think what's nice, too, is when bringing in a guy like Paul Sewald gives Stephen Vogt, another option. So maybe you can, I don't want to say ease off the throttle with Clase, because this guy shows up, he wants to pitch every game. But it gives Vogt at least another option. If you need to give Clase a day off, he can go to Paul Sewald and feel like, hey, this guy has experience. He's done it before. And I think he's going to be a really good fit for the back end of this bullpen.
Love to hear that. You mentioned Sewald. I was going to kind of follow up with the rest of the pen, and more so the eighth inning guy. Do you think it's going to be Hunter Gaddis, Cade Smith, another option as well, or Sewald? Who do you think?
I think what Stephen Vogt loves is having options. I don't think he's going to pigeonhole anybody into that role and say, you're just the eighth inning guy. I think he's got guys. He knows Hunter Gaddis can get him out in that situation. He knows Cade Smith can get him out in that situation. He knows Sewald from his 1 year coaching in Seattle. And, obviously he feels very strongly about what he can do. So I don't think anybody in that bullpen feels like, well, I only pitch the 6th or the 7th or the 8th. They know Clase is the guy in the 9th. And everybody else is ready when that phone rings.
Matt, the other team, of course, that trains at Goodyear, the Cincinnati Reds, have a new manager this year, and that's our old friend Terry Francona. Have you seen him, and what's been the buzz about Tito being back as a manager again?
I haven't had a chance to see him yet. Andre and I were going to wait till kind of the early fervor dies down, and we're going to sneak down and see him. He's not going to be in the dugout tomorrow. I'm sure you saw that news.
Yeah.
And that's such a Tito move. He doesn't want it to be about him. He doesn't want the focus to be on him. He's going to join the club in a split squad over in.
Oh, no.
Lost him.
The only thing freezing right now in Arizona is his picture.
We got him
You got
back.
me?
Hold on.
Okay,
Yeah,
he's
we got
back.
There he is.
There we go.
So I was talking to Tito. We were texting, and he got down there first day of spring training. And I said, tell me you pulled into our driveway and not the Reds. And he said, absolutely. I went to the wrong driveway on the first day of spring training. So that's typical Tito. But, look, he wants the focus to be about the Reds now, not about his relationship with Cleveland. You know that's special, and it'll always be special for him. But he's got a new job. He's got to get those guys ready for the season. But we televised the game against the Reds on St. Patrick's Day. I bet we'll see him in the dugout for that one.
I hope so. I really do. And we wish him all the success in the world. How do you root against a guy like Tito? I do imagine it's going to feel a little awkward for both sides, really. I mean, they're sharing a complex down there, so it's just weird how it worked out. Before we let you go, let's ask the big question. And the big question is the 2025 hierarchy of the American League Central. The Tigers last year, from the All-Star break on, were probably the best team in the division, and they gave us all we wanted in the series. You've got Kansas City. It's got maybe one of the best young lineups in the game. The Twins are better. Like, I can see any one of 4 teams winning this division.
Are you ruling out the White Sox?
I'm sorry, I hate to do that, but yeah. I mean, but the other 4, my God, Matt, I think this is going to be the most competitive division in the game.
I think you're right, and I think what we saw last year was the developing of true divisional rivalries. With Bobby Witt being a young player and this team being one of the youngest teams in baseball, it's going to be fun to watch these teams battle back and forth. Same with the Tigers. The Tigers did make some offseason moves. They got some veterans in there, but they're still a young team on the rise, and I think it's going to be fun. I think every time we play the Tigers and the Royals and, of course, the Twins, those are going to be heated, intense battles, and we haven't really had that in the Central Division. You might have a year where it's one team against another team. But you're right. This is a year where all 4 of those teams are going to be clawing and fighting for every inch of ground that they can gain. And I think last year what we saw with Stephen Vogt is a team that got off to a fast start, something they never really did under Terry Francona. So that could be something to watch. If they can get out to a fast start again this year, I think that's going to give them the confidence that they can repeat as Central Division champions.
Yeah, I lied.
Matt.
We have 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Where the heck are we going to watch the games this year? What's going on?
Yeah.
Okay. So you know about the streaming service. So in the past, games were blacked out on the streaming service. Now you can go to CLEGuardians.tv. You can get the whole season for $99.99. $100. You get all the games that we televise, and then they're still working out the details on the cable and DirecTV packages. But we hope to hear something on that in the next couple of weeks, hopefully. And as we get closer to opening day, that all those details will be will be released. Obviously, as you guys know, they don't ask my input. I'm not involved in the negotiations, but I think the key is the streaming service gives people the ability to watch the games that were shut out for the last couple of years.
Yeah, that is a huge development.
Yeah.
Listen, we can't wait to listen to you and Rick and Andre and the whole team bring us another exciting season of Guardians baseball. Matt, enjoy that weather. Enjoy it.
I'll try.
Go do some curls, Matt. Go do some curls.
He's got to go ice the shoulder here.
He's only about 200 yards from the Guardians' weight facility.
Yeah, there you
and
go.
they've got every piece of equipment known to man. So
I'll tell you, you talk about the division being competitive, and I know.
Did I overstate it?
No,
I think it's going to be the best.
No, I think both Central. I actually think all 5 teams could win the NL Central. Actually,
possibly.
But the difference is, I think the quality of the 4 teams in the American League Central is a little better than the 5 in the NL Central. But I've been thinking about my preseason predictions, and it's hard to pick a division winner. Right now I've got it between the Guardians and the Royals as my top 2.
Wow. So you don't have the Tigers?
I think the Tigers will be good, but I think what they did at the end of last year was not sustainable over a whole season.
Right.
I like them, but I could see, and we saw this with the Guardians 2 years ago, I could see them taking a little step back before making a big step forward the following year. We'll see. They have some really good young pitchers.
Wow, they're pitching.
But I mean,
I think they have the best pitcher in the game right now.
No doubt.
I think Skubal's that good.
The division is as good as it's been ever, I think.
Yeah, it's tough.
And by the way, yesterday was the first spring training game overall. The Cubs played the Dodgers. Did you guys see that Bobby Miller, the Dodgers pitcher?
The line drive back at him.
Yeah,
right.
106 miles an hour.
It was terrifying.
Right on his head.
Terrifying.
Line drive?
Yeah,
Yes.
he was able to walk off the field. Obviously, he's in concussion protocol, and supposedly he's okay. But that was horrible.
Yeah, you can't defend 106. You can't get out of the way.
Yeah,
Too close.
You're
It
too
was
close.
a
You're about
bullet.
53, 54 feet from the batter's box, from home plate when you finish.
Yeah.
And you're still finishing your motion when the ball is actually being struck. And at 106, it's on you.
Yeah.
You cannot defend that.
As the hitter, I'm curious. Like Michael Bush is the hitter; he's the Cubs' first baseman. I wonder if that affects you at all.
It's got to.
Because you don't want to hurt. You could kill somebody.
I know
it hasn't happened very often, but it's possible.
Ray Chapman,
Yeah.
1920 or whatever that we know.
That's why they use the wood bats, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's amongst other reasons. Yeah, they'd hit the ball 580
Oh, my
feet
God.
with
Guys
metal
would die
bats.
if they played with
I
metal
watched one
bats.
time Jim Thome hit BP at the Phillies training facility in Clearwater.
Yeah.
They had a metal bat guy that was there demoing bats for college kids, and he grabbed one. And there's like 18 lanes on the, US 19 on the right, behind the right field stands at Clearwater, and I think he hit it over the entire highway.
Oh, my gosh.
It's just, it was
Crazy.
something to see. It was
All
crazy.
right.